Hi there, welcome back. My name is Isabel Height. I'm a resident in counseling here at the Center for Holistic Psychotherapy. Thank you for joining us for July's topic on mental independence. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that this video is for psychoeducational purposes, not therapy. If you are searching for a therapist, I highly recommend you reach out to a local mental health care provider. Psychologytoday.com is an excellent resource for you and your loved ones to have on hand. You can search specific or specialized areas in which you feel like you may need help with, and it's just wonderful to know that. So for this talk, I will be speaking about freeing oneself from failure. In other words, goal setting. We set goals for ourselves all the time. It can be weight, wanting better sleep habits, we may want to quit smoking or floss more. Unfortunately, when we set goals for ourselves, it can sometimes seem like we are being hypercritical of ourselves. So what does it really take to be successful in our goal setting? How do we achieve our goals from start to finish? How do we actually change our behavior? First, I want to introduce a concept called the Transtheoretical model of change, also known as the stages of change. Now, the researchers who developed this model, they were named Prochaska and DiClementa, and they published their work in 1970s. And it may seem like common sense, but their research did support that people really only change when they want to. So that intention is so important when we actually set goals for ourselves. This model suggests that change is not linear. It is not a clear start and finish. In fact, it is cyclical. We are constantly working on these goals and working to change this behavior. So these researchers suggested that there are 6 stages for change. So we're going to start with stage 1, but while I go through these stages, I want you to think back and reflect on some of the goals that you may have been working on or goals that you have achieved and see where you are on this cycle. So I'll start with the first being pre-contemplation. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this stage because honestly, if you find yourself in the pre-contemplation stage, there's really not a lot that I can do to try to help you change your behavior, or if you have a loved one who you want to change their behavior and they may not want it, this is where they are. It's a lot of work to get out of this stage, but it's solely up to that individual alone to get out of that pre-contemplation stage. It's really where that person sees that the risks don't outweigh the benefits. So moving on is contemplation stage. Now, this stage is where we see a lot more ambivalence. It's like you see the scales and you say, yeah, I see the pros and I see the cons, but I'm really just like, I'm daunted by the work that needs to be done, or I'm not ready, or just the motivation is hard to muster up. So this is where it's really important to tap into resources that will help you become motivated. So that could be finding a counselor, or it could be finding a support group. But this is also where psychoeducation is so important. So contemplation is just you're taking in information, and that directly ties into the next stage, which is preparation. So you are creating the plan. You're putting things in motion. You're learning more. So psychoeducation is still here, but it's a little bit more focused and catered to your individual needs. And next is the best stage ever, which is action. So action is where all the work that you've been putting in, all your supports are in place. This is really where you start seeing the behavior change. Eventually, with time, you get into maintenance. And maintenance can be one of the easiest and one of the hardest stages somebody can be in. but it's only easier with time. And then lastly, there is the final stage, which is lapse or relapse. Now, these are setbacks, and by being aware of their place in this cycle, we are already starting to change our relationship with failure. So we're already preparing for those lapses. Like, they are part of that human experiences. We do mess up, but by being aware of it, you can be better prepared or plan for it in your preparation stage. And inadvertently, you may not actually have the quantity of relapses that you would otherwise. So, with all of that, I want you to really start thinking about your life and areas of your life that you would like to improve. Now, we have so many spokes of our wheel that we may want to give attention to. Like I said, there could be the weight, the work, the spiritual aspects of ourselves that need attention. But this is where we are here to help make you a little bit more specific and clear with your goals. Now, there is a concept that is thrown around quite a bit. It's popular, but I would like to reintroduce to some the idea of SMART goals. Now, this is an acronym that can definitely marry really well into the stages of change. And what the SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So, specific, it's really sitting down with a pen and paper and writing down who, what, where, when, how. All right? Like, you need to be able to see the goal. We're not making, objective goals like, oh, I want to feel better, or, oh, I want to be a better person. These are great goals. I'm going to encourage you to have those goals, but I need concrete, clear goals, specific goals. That then ties into measurable. So you need to be able to quantify these goals. So it can be a number, a time, amount of intervals. It doesn't quite matter how, just as long as you can write it down and actually see numbers on a scale or on a calendar or anything like that. It's just very good to be able to record keep in that way. Achievable and realistic, I kind of put together, but really be realistic about what you are capable of doing with your skill set, with your education, with your ability and time. Really be realistic, rational. Don't bite off more than you can chew. That is not how we achieve our goals. They need to be small, measurable goals that you can see. So that is achievable and realistic. Lastly is time-bound. Give yourself parameters. That can be, I'm gonna give myself 2 weeks and then I'm gonna check in with my friend and we're gonna go over my progress. Or it could be that therapy session, or it can be, oh, I'm gonna give myself 1 year to get this goal achieved. Just giving yourself parameters so you can better hold yourself accountable. All right, so we talked about the stages of change and we talked about SMART goals. Now, I really want to circle back and talk about that lapse and relapse point. We really are trained to be afraid of failure. And for some, that fear is motivating. But I want you to have a healthier relationship with failure. That's really what I meant by freeing oneself from failure. So why is failure important? It's the experience. It's the knowledge and the growth that you acquire. It's the resilience. And we talked about that in last month's video segment where we shared stories about resilience. And failure and setbacks are correlated with signs of resilience and strength. So all of this is to say that with failure and behavior change, you will find value in your life. Ultimately, you have an innate drive to find value in your life. And if you do have lapses and relapses, it may just simply be you are not ready to change. And that can be a very hard pill to swallow sometimes, because we want to be better. We want, that's our drive. That's our future focused, finding purpose and meaning in our life mentality. We want it to be linear. But we have to learn also to be gentle, compassionate, and that good things come with time. Ultimately, you have the innate drive to create value in your life. So when we talk about those lapses or relapses, that just may mean that the timing is not right. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't want to create that value. You owe it to yourself to be the best version of you. So let your health, let your wellness be that cornerstone of your life, and start taking responsibility of the change that you want to see. It is only yours. No one else can change it for you. So if you feel like you need help staying accountable, please reach out to a counselor. Like I said in the beginning of this video, psychologytoday.com is amazing for that. Your local healthcare providers are here for this reason, to help you take control of your health. And that can be liberating, and it can be empowering. And that experience, knowledge, resilience, growth that we talked about that also comes from failure is amplified when you actually do achieve your goals. So I hope you enjoyed today's talk about setting oneself free from failure. Please continue to subscribe and like our videos so you can be aware of the content that we continue to share. And we look forward to talking with you next week.